5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And I'm on my way, and I won't be late, 'cause everything that's happening is in perfect time. And though we may not know just where this bus will take us, but you're not alone with your love inside. And I'm on
Yeah. Welcome to another episode, or the second episode, right, of Outside Perspectives, the show where we interview Texans from all around the world. Today we're going to talk to Paulina, who's in Chile, and I've known her since I was a little young Chilean boy in the United States. We met at North Irving Baptist Church in the bilingual group. We were fellow Chilean brethren, and now she's in Chile again. Paulina, welcome. Yay. Clap
Thank
your clap your
you.
Yeah. So let's start with catch us up. Where are you now? Not literally like you're at your house, but like where are you in the world right now?
I'm in San Vicente de Tagua Tagua. It's a little town about 2 hours away from Santiago. And yeah, the whole country is transitioning out of quarantine, and our little town is starting quarantine on Friday, tomorrow. So that's great.
Oh, so
That's
life has been normal up until this point?
Yeah, pretty much. Besides the masks and the people who take your temperature at the supermarket and at stores, it's been pretty normal. You can go outside and do your thing.
But
But on Friday, all of that changes.
you seems like super excited about that.
Oh, totally.
Why is it
No,
why is I'm confused though. Like if the country's transitioning out of quarantine, then why are y'all going into quarantine? Are y'all just trying to be different and cool? Or y'all like
I think people just got way too relaxed because
oh,
like we didn't have that many cases, and the government started to implement like the steps to transition out of quarantine, and I guess people just got way too relaxed, and that's what happened.
so why don't we can you take us back to when Pandy really hit you, when it became like a real thing for you? What was the moment like?
Okay, so I was living in Santiago, and like the city, like downtown, and I started hearing about the pandemic way before it hit Chile, because like my news feed is all American basically. Um, and the day that I saw a lady in the elevator with gloves and a mask was the day that it hit me, because it was so weird. And I thought she was exaggerating, and she wasn't.
What so what build were you in elevator in your own to get to your building, or were you like at work?
In my building, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I think it was a nurse, or it was she had scrubs on, so I'm guessing she was like a nurse or something health related. And yeah, she was taking all precautions.
Dang. Did you ever see her again? Or
No, because I moved out within a week,
oh, that's really
or
quick.
I moved back. Yeah, or I moved back with my parents because, uh, well, the thing with Italy, and yeah, I think it was around April, like the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of April, was like the worst um, period for Europe. I think Europe was having a really rough time with it,
Right.
and I got really worried because I have a chronic illness, and I was living by myself, and uh, I had to get out of there.
Dang.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was it? So then you moved and I don't know, I don't remember how to pronounce the name. Say the name of your little town one more
San
time.
Vicente,
San
San
Vicente.
Vicente
San Vicente. No, the other
de
one.
Tagua Tagua.
De Tagua Tagua. San Vicente de Tagua Tagua. Right. So you
Yeah,
moved back to San Vicente.
that's it's a Quechua word. No, I'm gonna butcher it, so no. I'm not gonna say that. But it's Mapuche. It's like the indigenous
Yeah,
people
Mapuche.
of
Yeah.
Chile. It's Mapuche words. The language is, I think it's called Quechua, but I'm not sure. So
Mm.
yeah.
I was just wondering if that's the first time that you lived with your parents in maybe a while, or is that like,
Yeah.
oh,
How's that
tell us
going?
more. Yeah.
I think you can imagine. No, my parents are very conservative. Um, they're good Christian people.
hmm
uh, but yeah, I have to ask for permission to go out, and like if I'm gonna meet up with anybody, like they have to know with who or whom. Uh, and I have to be back like before 12. But this was like pre-pandemic, and when the pandemic hit, like I didn't go out because I didn't want to go out. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think I went out once, and since I knew I had to come back like before 10 because they have a curfew at 10. I think I got like really drunk from like 7 to 8, and then I threw up, and then I came back home.
You always want to take care of yourself when you get home. Like,
Yeah.
do you think that because you have a chronic illness, seeing that nurse or healthcare worker in the elevator with her PPE, like, really, like, caused you to make moves quickly? Or do you think that that's just, like, moving to your parents was just the next step?
I don't really remember. I remember like a feeling of panic, but not like me personally, but just like in the air, like before a storm hits, I guess. Um, and yeah, you just kind of felt it. You just kind of felt it when you went out. Uh, like you would get paranoid if somebody was coughing in the elevator, or you would try to hold your cough if you had to cough in the elevator, like stuff like that. So it was really weird, and it happened really fast.
Yeah.
Like I think the first case hit the last week of March. We had our first case, and then I went to live with my parents like the week after that, or 2 weeks after that. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that people there are like taking your temperature inside stores. Like it was pretty relaxed up until tomorrow. But people were taking your temperatures, everyone's wearing masks. Can you just tell us more about like what precautions are generally being taken around where you live? Because I'm very interested as a Texan where mask wearing is like a thing.
Well, since about I think May. In May, Santiago was quarantined, and that meant that you couldn't go outside. You had to like get a permit to go
Whoa.
grocery shopping. Yeah.
That's
Oh, I thought they did that everywhere.
nah, man.
No? What?
That just blew my mind.
Is that an online process? Can you walk us through what getting
Yeah,
that
a permit? What?
Yeah. So you know, you had to get like 2 permits when there was like a total quarantine. The first one you had to get through like the police department's website, and then you had to get a second one. It was like a health permit, I guess, and it's so they could keep track of like who was going out, what they were doing. You also, it wasn't required, but you could put like who you lived with and stuff like that. And when it was really bad, they would only give you 2 permits per week, so you could only go out 2 times a week to like get food or like do something.
Okay. hold the phone. The idea that you're telling me that you had to get a permit and you could only get like 2 permits like a week literally blows my mind. I'm wondering, and I'm like, half joking here, but I'm dead serious. Like, in the process of like, oh, I need to get a permit to go buy my groceries, and I have a curfew at 10. Does that, because if that was imposed here, it would be like, this is an infringement on my civil liberty, and I would actually get that. Like, I get where you're coming from on that. A little bit more than just like, I don't want to wear a goddamn mask. Just wear the goddamn mask. But did you feel sort of like, what society is this? Like, I have to apply just to leave my house? Did you have little traces of that, or what was your reaction to that stuff?
Yeah, so Chile, as a society, as a people, I think we were sort of prepared for something like this, or for some type of government like interference or enforcement of the stuff, because you have to remember Chile has a history of like dictatorships, and in October of last year we had like the protests and stuff, and that was the first time that they instituted a curfew in like, I don't know, like 20 years or something like that. And that was the first time for me to have a curfew, and I thought it was insane. I was like, how are people just like taking this? Like, what do you mean I can't go outside? Like, what? Like, and if I go outside, I'll get detained? Like, what? What is this? So yeah, that was really weird. It freaked me out. But like other people, especially like older generations, lived through a dictatorship where they had a curfew like all the time. So that wasn't weird for them, and everybody knows about that. So it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't shocking for them, but it was for me. So yeah.
I was just gonna ask you.
Go ahead.
Made people a little bit more willing. Excuse me. I don't have COVID. You think people a little bit more willing to like follow the rules that the government was putting like up?
Yeah, I think so. Because we had just come out of, actually we were getting ready for, it's called Estallido Social 2.0, which is like the protests 2.0, like the second version. Because in October, the streets were full. I went to one of the protests, and they were like shooting people with rubber bullets, and people were losing their eyes, and they were tear gassing people. And I remember I only went to one protest because it's very dangerous. So when you know what your government is capable of, I think you're more willing to follow the rules.
That's interesting. Man, that's kind of a dark reaction, but like lesson. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to say it. That's just a weird. I think that encapsulates sort of like 2020, where you're just like, I'm learning a lot of things that I never thought I would like have to learn.
Yeah.
I'm curious because you brought up these protests, and it's a wild parallel because here we've had lots of Black Lives Matter protests now too.
Yep.
And in Austin, I can say we've had some pretty nasty incidents where people were getting fired with rubber bullets too. As an American and as a Chilean, what is it like? Is that weird to see sort of that kind of conflict happen in Chile, but then you can sort of see that happening here too? And that would stress me out, is basically honestly the question that I would be getting at. But what's your
reaction? It is weird.
Yeah.
What's your reaction?
It's weird. Yeah, it's very weird because you wouldn't think that would happen in the US. It's a free country. but yeah, when I saw like the stuff that was going on in Portland, uh, it kind of like Americans are very like insulated. Um, they tend to think they're like the only people that exist in the world sometimes.
Assessment.
And I know that because I live there, and I also thought that we were the center of freaking galaxy. Uh, so like there have been revolutions going on for a while in Latin America, in the Middle East, in Europe. Like this has been going on for a while, and it's the same sort of like fight, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so when I saw the stuff that was going on in the U.S., I was kind of proud. Or not kind. I was very proud. I was proud. I was proud. Um, I like most of my friends like support Black Lives Matter, and anybody who doesn't is like they get shut down.
Mhm.
So that kind of makes me happy. Kind of, I hope people, I don't know, get out and vote.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, that was all
What was the
extremely
question?
illuminating, particularly when you said that you were proud. Honestly, that was not the answer I expected, or your reaction. I wouldn't have thought that that was the answer. Natalie, I think
I
you were
was
about to say
so
something. I
proud.
think I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just wondering, like, you're a couple months removed from the protests that have happened in Chile, but protests have kind of still continued here, and we're not sure if they're going to continue at the full force. You know, people have been staying home more. The movement, like energy for the movement, has been kind of dying down at this point. Um, did you kind of see that happen too in Chile, and how can you like? I don't know, like you're kind of like in the future of where we are now, you know,
Yeah.
like what could you maybe see, or maybe you can like give us some sort of advice to just kind of like what should we, I don't know what I'm trying to get at, but like
No,
what
I
should
say
we expect?
Yeah. I think this, like, you're not the only ones going through it. It's like cycles. Like something big happens and everybody freaks out and everybody wants to do something about it and they post about it on social media and then it kind of dies down. Not because I don't think it's because people don't care. I think it's or at least this is how I feel. It's uh triggering. It's emotionally exhausting.
yeah.
Um, you can't like be 100% engaged and like
I know exactly what you're getting at because me and Jessica have talked about, my girlfriend and Jessica have talked about the same thing. It's just extremely hard to be in that mode 24/7. By all means, that would be
yeah,
the most productive things, but we're not robots, man. Like it's exhausting.
yeah,
We went to one protest here in Austin the week after some kids got shot with rubber bullets and everything, and like we were like legit scared to go, but it felt like the right thing to do. But man, at the end of that day, we saw people crying. We saw people very aggressively arguing amongst themselves, which was crazy, which was I did not expect. Even amongst like the same quote unquote side of the protest, people aggressively arguing amongst themselves. And it was exhausting at the end of the day, not just like we physically worn out, but like mentally, emotionally. I think we came home and we like had a beer and I think we like watched like I Love Lucy. like the most quaint little thing just to turn it off, Otherwise,
Yeah.
you'll break down, you still have your own responsibilities to get through at the end of the day, It sucks, but
Yeah.
that's real life.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
that makes sense because these issues are so complex. So like at one protest, so many people could actually be like championing different things, so but it's really inspiring to hear that there was the second wave of protests planned in Chile, and it seems like that might have been a little bit disrupted by COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But they're still planning on going back when all of this is over. They want to protest again. But yeah, I wish I had a more articulate way of explaining it, but I don't. And also, it's really hard to talk about it. So,
I think
yeah.
I think just right now, I'll talk to my parents. We'll talk. They lived through the Chilean dictatorship. They had not fun times, and they tell me that they didn't necessarily have responses to those experiences in depth until much later after the fact. Just because when you're going through it, it takes, like we're talking about right now, it takes so much energy, so much of your mental space, your emotional weight, just to get through the day. And so you extrapolate that, I think, for a couple of years, you don't really have time to evaluate and self-reflect. I think like with COVID right now too, at the start, I thought this was going to be like, it'll be like a 1 month, 2 month thing. That sucks, but it's okay. Yeah, no, this is going to be through the end of the year, and probably through next year. And I'm not ashamed to admit it, y'all. I'm gonna put my chips in the middle of the table. I'm just a guy. It's starting to get to me a little bit. The routine, the monotony. I miss seeing people. This is nice. Me and Natalie, before you jumped on, Paulina, we were talking about, I'm going to be honest. The majority of this day, I was not wearing a shirt, okay? Because, okay? But I put on a shirt, and Natalie was like, this is the only reason I have to dress up. It's the world we live in now, It's weird. I want to do something brighter. I'm sorry. Let's not, we got so doom and gloom. But let me give you.
Let's do it.
You go.
The fact that we are like calling out our oppressors, calling out their oppressions, like even if we're speaking about it, even though we're not fully capable of speaking about it so well and so roundly like a lot of other really educated people, like we're here, we're open, we're willing. So thank you for sharing that. I think that was great.
I agree. The world is changing, and you know what else, Paulina? World's a better place because you're in it. I wanted to ask you, now that you're back with Mama Bear and Papa Bear, has this affected your relationship? Have y'all gotten closer? You said that you're having to go back to some old school relationship dynamics, but have y'all talked about COVID in some way? You're also with your brother and sister, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's this new? The family is reborn. The basic family unit, all under one roof. Tell us about family being in under one roof.
You know what? I'm very lucky because it's been really good. It's been really, really good. We're all like adults now, so there's no like rebellious teenager stuff going on. It's been good. It's been good. I was sort of surprised. My sister came to live here I think 2 months after I had already arrived. And my whole strategy with my parents is like, if a certain topic comes up, like religion or feminism or communism, like liberal stuff, I just stay away from it. I just listen and nod, but I don't like engage in conversation or debates with my parents over stuff that I I know we won't agree on. But my sister has a different strategy, and she like actually wants to know my parents' opinion on stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've actually made some progress. So I was very pleasantly surprised and thankful that my sister sort of like, I don't know, she took the time to like explain things and sort of try to um yeah, like convince my parents that some of the stuff or the way that they were thinking was wrong. So
One might say
yeah.
everyone's grown up a little bit, matured. Being under one house has made everyone be like, well, we're gonna have to, we're gonna be very intimate here in this space. So let's proceed amicably. But yeah, the world's changing. And it sounds like the curfew stuff is just like that's just part of it. You can deal with it. There are worse things.
The curfew, dude, I think that's, I've said it before and I'm gonna say it again. I miss drinking. Like, and like I miss going out, and I don't go out that much and I don't drink that much either. Damn it, now I sound like an alcoholic.
No, I know what you mean.
Socializing is so important, and honestly, everyone is saying just stay away from people, but we haven't really started to think about like what are other ways that people can socialize because we need to socialize, but that are going to be safe. So like obviously we can't go to the crowded bar and like all sit on the same bar stool and take shots, but like what we have to start thinking about like creative ways that we can engage with others.
Yeah, I had a birthday party, or not, it wasn't my birthday, but I went to a birthday party on Discord. I don't know if
Whoa.
you guys know what that is, but yeah, it was like a whole bunch of people and everybody had their drink, and there were different like rooms. I think they're like different channels or something. I I don't know how it works, but like it
Uh-huh.
was like a party. So you had like the backyard and there was music playing, and then if you switched to another channel it was like the bathroom, and they put
Whoa.
like a limit on how many people can go into the bathroom. So one of the bathrooms had a 2-person limit. And there was like a bathroom for like everybody, and then there was a bathroom for only girls, and that one allowed 7 people because
Uh,
duh.
that's that's the future, man. That's so weird.
It is so that was very interesting and fun, and yeah,
Do you think there was like
that's one of the ways.
do you think there was a virtual hookup in the virtual bathroom, or do you think people were very respectful of the space on Discord?
I don't know, because it was like one guy and the girls kept like rotating, like, so I don't know. If it had
Interesting.
been the other way around, I guess it would make sense. But
Interesting.
yeah,
Who's the birthday person? We'll give them a birthday shout out.
uh, Ignacio Cortez.
Ignacio Cortez.
But
Happy birthday.
you know they call Ignacio, like their nickname is Nacho.
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 Nacho, happy
Yeah.
birthday, buddy. You're doing great. We're very proud of you. Keep it up. Ignacio.
He's a good guy.
You're a great guy. You're a great guy.
Great.
You do so good with 1-to-7 ratios in virtual bathroom party scenarios. Well, let's go ahead, Natalie. Go ahead.
Have you been to any other like events with friends, or you said you went out one time? What was that like?
Ooh, yeah, I forgot about that. Tell us about that.
I went out one time. It was very early on, like in April. Sorry, can you guys hear that dog?
Barely.
Okay. So it was
You're good. You're good.
in April or May, and I went to my cousin's house because I know that if I go, like, it is on. He always has like people over, and they're usually like, I don't know, they're cooking in the backyard, like having a barbecue and stuff like that. So I went, and I only had like 2 hours before curfew, so I had a couple of drinks.
As one does at a barbecue.
As one does, yeah.
Was everyone masked up, or was it like, you know what, we're just gonna have a good time?
They were very relaxed. Like, they didn't take it very seriously. They were the kind of people who thought everyone else was exaggerating. And I get it, because small towns like this are sort of like their own little universe, and I guess, yeah, like if you see people walking around like everything's okay, you're gonna think everything's okay. So yeah, but I was really scared because my little brother has asthma and I'm a type 1 diabetic, so if I were to get sick, that would not be good.
It's game on if that happens. I have
Yeah.
I always think back of my fears, because like I smoked cigarettes for like 1 year, and I'm like, maybe it's just done in there, and just the slightest little tip is just gonna ruin it, you know. I have that fear, but I'm kind of a
Oh,
hypochondriac,
dude.
so I don't know.
Damn it, I wish I had, because, okay, when I turned 18 in Texas, I wanted to buy like some cigarettes because I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
But my ID, like the last like ID that I had was one that I got when I was like 13 or something. So the picture was like a 13-year-old girl, and I couldn't get a new ID because I was illegal. Couldn't get a driver's license, so I went to buy cigarettes with like my 13-year-old face ID. It's around here somewhere. But yeah, I just remembered that.
Did they
Yeah,
sell it
cigarettes are
to
bad.
you, or were they like,
Yeah,
oh,
I love Texas.
yeah. And it said I was like 4'8" or something like that. And I was clearly not, but I don't know.
oh gosh.
But they were, I will always remember this. They were like pink and black camels. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
You know.
I did. I was a Marlboro Reds kind of guy, because I felt
Damn.
I felt cool. Yeah. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know the phases. I love Texas. I like that you noticed that too, Natalie. You were like, I love Texas. You know, that's something. I know Texas is. It's a weird place, man.
Texas.
Yeah.
Do you want to come back ever, or are you happy where you are? Like, would you be willing to come back post-pandemic if everything was like kosher with immigration?
Yeah, I feel like I need to go back. At least, like I'm not like desperate to go back. It's not like I hate it here. I think I could live here for the rest of my life. Hopefully not, but it's not like I'm doomed if I stay here. But I do want to go back because I feel like I need that closure. I don't know what to call it. Yeah, I want to go back.
You should.
Closure. It sounds like a relationship where someone might have done you wrong. Do you feel like that?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, when I left, it was like sort of like a loss of innocence or naivete. I sort of like, okay, because when you're a kid, at least when I was a kid, your parents tell you, dude, if you just study hard, that's all you have to worry about. Just study, do well in school, you'll go to a good college, and you're set for life. That's what my parents told me. And the American dream, or like in America, the United States, they tell you something very similar. Like, if you just work hard, you'll be rich, basically. If you just work really, really hard, because it's a meritocracy, and people who work hard will do well in life. And it does not work like that. And
No.
that's a really hard lesson, I guess, when it's combined with like broken dreams. So for example, I did pretty okay in school. I like took AP classes. I was in the STEM program. I was in the debate club. I know all of the other like clubs that you put in your resume when you're like applying for college and stuff like that. I took the SATs. I applied to colleges. I got in. I got some college credit from the AP classes. And then I found out that it didn't really matter how much I wanted it or how hard I had tried, or like all of the, I guess, sacrifice that my parents had made. Like it was all for nothing, like literally for nothing. Like my grade, like here, when I applied for college here, they didn't take into account my grades. It was only the entrance exam. So all of my work, all of my hard work was useless. It was worth nothing.
Okay. Yeah.
No. Like, okay.
This,
Okay.
I agree with you 100%. Well, okay. I agree with you 90%. Yes, it doesn't work that way. Yes, it's all bullshit. And yes, that sounds and that sucks. But you're incredibly well spoken. You are incredibly intelligent. You are well educated. Okay? Like you are a well-rounded, not just like academic person, like academic proficiency, but you are emotional and you have emotional intelligence, self-awareness. Those I just want to remind you that you're cool, basically, okay? And those lessons, okay, that work, all that bullshit made you into that way. So before you tear it all down, tear 90% of it down and leave 10% there for you to be like, but at least I'm my wonderful self. Because I agree with you, man. The school, it's all, there's so much luck involved and privilege and money and bullshit. And I learned, a similar lesson in my own, way, right? We live different lives and it's a hard lesson to learn. I think the bullshit is that, you got to work twice as hard. That's like a real thing to this day. And even then, that's not even a guarantee. It's just like that increased your chances, but we'll see,
Yeah.
It's bullshit. It's total bullshit. But at least you were able to make that journey for what it's for the little 2 cents that it's worth.
Similar story that like all undocumented parents tell their kids, like my mom used to tell me, yeah, you have to go to school, you have to work hard, you have to go every day. Oh, you have a stomachache, too bad, you're going, and you're gonna get an A, So I think we all heard that, and absolutely like getting to that point where you're like, I've achieved so much and I'm ready to move forward in my career and like be a productive member of the society that I've grown up in. And then I don't know if you're willing to share like exactly what happened or some more specifics, but like getting halted from doing that, I would be so frustrated too. So
Yeah,
I totally understand your frustration there. But Daniel's right. Those experiences shaped you in some way. So they were for a reason.
Yeah.
Reasons, but for
yeah. I mean, I was going there next. Like,
my bad.
What I mean, no. Well, first of all, thank you for saying all of those nice words. Like, no, what I mean is, sometimes shit happens.
Yeah.
Forrest Gump. And life isn't
More
fair.
American are you than you just quoted Forrest Gump? Oh, fuck. Sorry. Go ahead.
um, that's it basically. Life isn't fair, and what I take with me and what I will take with me for the rest of my life from like the US is not my grades. It's my friends. It's all of my memories. It's all of the people who, dude, I'm gonna start crying.
Oh, dude, I love it.
That's okay.
No.
I'll cry with you. Honestly, if you cry, there's a decent chance that I will cry with you. I am a
I was
very
literally crying 10 hours ago.
Dude, I don't even cry that much anymore. I'm so like emotionally like guarded. Anyways, so there's a TED talk on this. When I was going through like the last couple of months that I was in Texas, I was still, because I left in October, and that was supposed to be my first semester of college.
Mm-hmm.
And for the couple of months before that, I was like deciding on whether or not to stay and, you know, just risk it and just drive without a license. And I had a job, but it was with like a fake social security number.
Right.
And a lot of friends offered me help, like Veronica Rosales, if you're watching this.
Shout out
Um,
Veronica.
Shout out Veronica, Ronnie. Dude, I'm pretty sure she was joking, but she was like, oh, dude, she went to UNT, and she was like, you can just stay with me if you need to in my dorm. You can stay under my bed. Like, it's okay. We'll work it out. And I was like, oh, like they offered me, like, um, a space in their house, like to live with them if I wanted to stay and go to college here. My parents went back to Chile.
Mm-hmm.
My English teacher, Miss Barb Neck, oh my god, I love her so much. She like drove me to UTD to find out about like financial aid and like what my options were. And I told her I was really frustrated because I felt like it wasn't fair. And dude, and teachers are the best. And oh, she's the best.
It's always English teachers. I don't know why.
Always.
You know?
Um,
Hey, Natalie, right?
but yeah, all of my friends like made me feel so loved and damn it. I'm so grateful that I got to meet them, and dude, they mean the world to me.
They're still there, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, they are.
the
And they literally are. Like, I still talk to them like almost every day. I talk to Raisa, she's my best friend in the whole wide world. I'm going to her wedding next year in Mexico. Her second wedding. No, she's not
Congratulations
like
to her.
getting married. It's to the same guy because like they had their wedding in Texas and now they want to have their wedding in Mexico with her husband's family in Chihuahua.
Chihuahua.
Yeah, and Ivan is going to. Yeah. So what I miss the most about Texas and what I feel like I left behind isn't, I mean, at first it was like my hopes and dreams that were left behind, but also like people who I love and who love me and whom I will treasure like for the rest of my life. So yeah, I could go on and on about that, but
I think what you speak about you personally, and number one, I just appreciate you opening up in that way. That's some real shit, you know. That's real life shit. Um, but that resonates with everyone. Like, we've had different life experiences, but what you're saying resonates with me. Natalie's had different life experience, but it resonates with her. My parents have had different life experiences, but what you're saying resonates with them. um I don't know if anybody's ever going to watch this, okay? I don't know, but I promise you it's going to resonate with them in a different way. um it's really interesting though that during this time, like, we're having these kinds of conversations, like really reflective on like what do I value, like what really fulfills me. It's surprising how much I miss my friends. I mean, we've started talking again in the midst of this pandemic. Like, it's just weird how there's certain relationships that you have that like really sort of resurface, and they nurture you really when you need it. And I want to say I think it's an absolute waste and shame that you weren't able to. I'm sorry that you weren't, that you're not here right now, especially if you wanted to. That shows that our country is failing. Uh, it's its own version of the American dream. But I not that I'm the most optimistic person, because I'm not that. I've never been that. I will say that the country is changing. We're having these protests. We're having conversations. We're pushing for change. Um, and I promise you, you're gonna come back. And when you come back, you're gonna come to Austin, and we're gonna show you a good time. But and I can't wait for that to happen. But it's just, I don't know. It's cool that you opened up that way, and you know, we're trying.
Yeah, because the reality is that, like you said, hopes and dreams and love from your family and friends, they don't, none of that knows a border, So, like, the
Yeah.
idea that I have to kind of cut this off because of these laws, or like these statutes, or, things that are preventing me from experiencing my life here. It's so sad to hear. And I'm really sorry you feel like that was such a, like a, I don't know, what's a thing that drops down and
Like a trap door, like a
it's
moat.
something that, like, kind of, it seems like that was a really big hurdle, and now you're in a really good place. And yeah, thank you so much for being so vulnerable. I'm so glad we
No
met.
problem. Of course. Me too. Yeah, I think we talked about it with Daniel, like our first conversation, about how we know each other, but we don't, because we
Yeah.
haven't talked that much since we were kids. And so it was like traveling back in time in a way. I don't know. So we were talking through like space and time.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it is so weird. Like, dude, I got into Led Zeppelin and like Nirvana and stuff because of him. I don't know if you and that, like, I think that influenced a lot of like my musical tastes, because like once you
Very cool.
if you start with Led Zeppelin and Nirvana, like, you can't go wrong. So
That's really cool. I feel good about myself.
Just like good taste, like, of course you are.
I feel good. That's cool. I have a random memory, actually. Do you? I don't know if anybody will care about this, but while I have you, do you remember when we were kids? There was like a weird little trip that our North Irving Baptist Church Spanish group went on, and it was like at a it was like a putt resort, I think.
yes,
And then we
yes,
drove back, but we stopped at this gas station that had like a Pizza Hut, and we all split like one
yes.
pizza, and it was like low key like the best pizza I've ever had in my life. I remember the pepperoni was extra crispy. I've always remembered that. I don't know. It's just a random thing. I don't know.
I hadn't thought about that. That wasn't in like my immediate. That's crazy. But yeah, I remember it now.
You
Yeah,
should
the Pizza Hut.
Ask your mom about that. I wonder if she'll remember it. That'll be wild.
We rode on the little boats that you have to like pedal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I have no idea why we were there. I really don't remember why we went there.
I don't either. We had sloppy joes. I remember that. It was the first time I had seen somebody make sloppy joes, and they like put sugar in it, and I was like, meat and sugar, that's weird, but it tasted so good.
I'm still not a sloppy Joe guy myself, honestly.
I love sloppy joes.
Ugh. It has the word slop in it.
Uh, I have a question for you. I don't know, Natalie, if you went to church when you were growing up.
Oh yeah, I was raised pretty Catholic, conservative Catholic, until we moved to Texas. Then we went to a more relaxed Catholic school or a Catholic church, and then my mom converted to Christianity with my dad when I was in college. So I was, eyeballs deep in debauchery, and they were like, "Let's become Christian." And I was like, "No." Yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering if like the Latino church experience was similar for everybody, because all the churches that I went to growing up were little rooms inside in a bigger church for
Yeah.
white people.
Yeah.
No, my mom
Like,
wanted us to assimilate. She wanted us to like become white. I shouldn't say that because I love my mom, but she really like wanted us to just assimilate.
it
So
comes from a good place. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
not to do
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
That's
All
the
of us
game.
are like, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole. We know. That's really fucking funny. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, all the churches that we went to, and we went to a bunch of churches,
Mm-hmm.
they were always a little room inside the bigger church, and like we didn't mix except for like special occasions, like we had a potluck or something like that. But
That's hilarious.
yeah, I was just wondering.
You didn't know you were the minority. Like now you know. Get in your little.
It's a legit thing. I remember every single one is like a small little room. I will say I always appreciated there was always donuts and coffee, and that was great. So I would go and just
Yeah,
have like 5 or 7 donuts and coffee and just like
dude,
turn it off.
it was the best. It was the best because we had a lot of potlucks, and since it was all like immigrants, everyone brought their own like food from their country, and that's what you got to try. Like, tamales. Like in Chile, they have humitas, and like
Mhm.
in other parts, they're like something different, but they're like the same thing. Yeah,
They
that
low
was
key, it
fun.
was like a culture war. Everyone would try to up the other culture with their food. Little side eye every now and then. Well, I want to ask you then one last thing. So that way we don't, hog your life. Is you've obviously opened up with us, and you have an incredibly I think you're very insightful. Your life experiences have made you grow a lot. You went through a protest before Pandy, and now you're a little ahead of us on that curve as well. Seeing Pandy life from Chile and seeing it from here in the United States, what are you gonna think about in 5 years? How are you gonna summarize it? How are you gonna think about it in 10 years? What's your takeaway from now? I know earlier we talked about how it's hard to necessarily put things into words, but where are your emotions drawing you already?
Mm, that's a really hard question.
Yeah, I just think because
uh,
when you're look, let me put it to you in another way.
How about if we just simplify? That is a really tough question. What is thinking about how COVID responses
it's 'cause
in Chile and COVID responses happening in the U.S. Like, how would you compare the two?
Okay, well, okay, I'll answer that. Uh, First, I was gonna say that, like we had mentioned, when you're going through something, your mind sort of just adapts to trauma, I guess. So you can't really register like what's going on. So I don't think like I don't know what I'm gonna think about this in a couple of years. I'm just gonna have to wait and see. Um, and the next question was what the difference was. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, just compare from your perspective.
The biggest difference is that people's health and safety hasn't been politicized here
Ooh.
as much as in the US. And I think the US is the only or one of very few countries in the world to make it about themselves. Like, yeah, I think that's the biggest difference.
Brazil isn't too far behind.
Oh, Brazil. Oh, dude.
Brazil's there, yeah. But god damn, that answer's like,
Yeah.
that's a good answer. That was heavy. Oh my god.
Thank you for both of our very confusing and wordy questions.
This was great. You were like, this was very cool. I very much so enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for jumping on and just being you. We appreciate you.
Happening is imperfect.